12,000 years ago, our planet was a very different place. The mammoth steppe ecosystem stretched all the way from Eurasia across Beringia and into North America, a cold, wind-swept grassland teeming with life, an Arctic savanna alive with giants. Mammoths would have been constantly disrupting the growth of trees, and other megafauna like steppe bison, horses, and even cold-adapted camels would have had their impact on the ecosystem. And large predators like cave lions, saber-toothed cats, and dire wolves were never too far away. For over 100,000 years, the mammoth steppe was a powerful, productive, and balanced ecosystem. Today, it's all but gone. The absence of that megafauna has completely reshaped the environment they left behind. But what if we don't let the story end there? What if we take it further? What if, by using cutting-edge science, we could bring back some of what was lost, and in the process help create a healthier, more biodiverse planet? I'm Zeke Darwin, a science teacher that's been teaching online about the evolution of ancient and modern life over the last 5 years. And now I'm partnering with Colossal Biosciences to help create a series of lessons with the goal of getting you, the next generation, excited and interested about conservation and the future of life on this planet, while also talking about the role that de-extinction technology can play in our future. The IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, defines de-extinction as the process of creating an organism that resembles an extinct species. For Colossal, de-extinction is not just about making an organism that is or resembles an extinct species. It's about merging the biodiversity of the past with the innovations of the present in an effort to create a more sustainable future. They define de-extinction as the process of generating an organism that both resembles and is genetically similar to an extinct species by resurrecting lost lineages of core genes, engineering natural resistances, and enhancing adaptability that will allow it to thrive in today's environment. In the case of the mammoth, scientists are using CRISPR to insert cold-tolerant mammoth genes, like shaggy fur and extra fat layers, into the DNA of its closest living relative, the Asian elephant. But here's an important part. These are not going to be woolly mammoths that are 100% genetically similar to the ones that were walking this planet 12,000 years ago. Instead, they're mammoth-like elephants that have been bioengineered with the traits of woolly mammoths to help them survive in colder environments, much like their ancient cousins. Functional de-extinction isn't just about recreating an extinct animal. It's about recreating a missing puzzle piece that can be plugged back into our planet to help improve our ecosystems as a whole. Founded by tech entrepreneur Ben Lamb and geneticist George Church, Colossal's mission is to advance conservation through cutting-edge science. They added another leading voice, Beth Shapiro, an evolutionary biologist specializing in ancient DNA that has been pushing the field forward for over a decade. On April 7, 2025, the team they assembled shocked the world when they announced that they had something much more impressive than the woolly mice they had revealed to the world a month earlier. They had successfully recreated the genes leading to phenotypes of ancient dire wolves, and then used CRISPR to introduce those traits into modern gray wolves. Colossal's dire wolves have the genetic traits of an animal that hadn't walked this planet in over 10,000 years. A wider head and snout, more robust jaws and larger teeth, thicker, more muscular shoulders and legs, cold adaptive fur traits, and even a lighter fur color is inferred from the genomes they decoded from 2 direwolf fossils coming from Ohio and Idaho. Colossal's direwolves are something new. They're not exactly like the direwolves of the past, but they're something never seen before that we are all going to get to observe as they grow. They should reach their adult size by around the age of 18 months. The direwolves are expected to live out their lives as they are studied and monitored on a 2,000-acre preserve. There are no current plans to introduce these into the wild. This direwolf project was a proof of concept that revealed to the world that we have the technology to not only clone animals from a blood draw alone, but by sequencing ancient genomes, we can actually bring extinct traits back to this planet. While the wolves came as a surprise, Colossal had already announced 3 de-extinction projects. The first of those Dodos was their mammoth project. With the creation of cold-adapted elephant lineages, we could potentially help restore old ecosystems while also increasing the odds of elephant biodiversity persisting into the future, all while driving innovation and generating resources for current elephant conservation groups. In fact, when the mammoth genome revealed that they were also in danger of a herpes virus that has been ravaging Asian elephants, both in captivity and in the wild, they worked with other experts and injected funds into their research to help create a vaccine that can cure the #1 killer of captive Asian elephants. All this while generating excitement for conservation. And I want to pause and hit on this as a science teacher. I feel like this is something that a lot of people are missing here. We have the potential to excite a generation, much like the moon landing did.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And get a generation excited about conservation much like Steve Irwin did. I'm a 90s kid. Steve Irwin is responsible for a lot of the love of conservation and animals in my generation. This could be that. Another one of Colossal's projects is the de-extinction of the thylacine, commonly called the Tasmanian tiger. This carnivorous marsupial was hunted to extinction rapidly in the 1930s. By returning this missing apex predator back to Tasmania and even Australia, again it is helping to repair an ecosystem that has been damaged by humans. The third animal is the dodo, the legendary bird from Mauritius. The animal was rapidly driven to extinction after humans arrived on the island and brought non-native animals to the island. This quickly threw the island out of balance and the dodo was a casualty. The problem never went away. Invasive animals are still there and the ecosystems are a shadow of what they once were. But who knows, perhaps if we could bring back the dodo, it would be easier to motivate and inspire people and make it worthwhile to attempt to eradicate those invasive species that were brought to the island, while also working to save endemic endangered species like the pink pigeon. It's not just about the dodo, it's not just about the animal you're bringing back, it's about the other animals you help along the way. Over the summer, Colossal announced its newest de-extinction project, a Maori-led effort to bring back the moa, giant flightless birds that once roamed New Zealand and could stand up to 12 feet tall and weigh over 500 pounds. The dire wolf was chosen because of the fact that we have such a good understanding of canids. I mean, they have a 60 to 65 day gestation period. Compare that to an Asian elephant of over 20 months. The fact that we are so familiar with wolves and dogs, plus the gestation period, it makes sense. And the mammoth, thylacine, and dodo were not just chosen randomly either. They all have a purpose. Each one represents a lost lineage. And each one unlocks opportunities to help other living animals that are here and in danger today. Understanding the genomes of these ancient animals requires us to also understand the genomes of their current living cousins. So Colossal partnered with the Vertebrate Genomes Project in an attempt to help them sequence high-quality reference genomes for all living vertebrates. The goal is to create a genetic repository of species, a biobank, which can act as an insurance policy against current and future threats to biodiversity, while also providing a stronger safety net for our modern species that are at risk of extinction. Nobody is wanting to do this just so we can stop protecting endangered animals. The fact of the matter is, eventually these animals are going to need our help, and this is a way to get started now so future generations have more resources and technology when needed.
Colossal is 100% focused that de-extinction technologies cannot replace modern conservation. We, as Beth said, modern conservation works. It just doesn't work at the speed at which we're eradicating species.
All of this matters for conservation. When funding goes up, science is able to advance faster. In a similar light, the Thylacine project is about more than reintroducing a marsupial predator. It's also helping scientists build tools to decode the genomes of other endangered marsupials, like the numbat or the northern quoll, so that we can better protect what's left of Australia's unique biodiversity. A good example of this with the Australian marsupials. So in 1935, cane toads were brought to Australia. The thought was that they would help consume the beetles, which would be good for the farmers. The problem is they're extremely toxic, and Australia's animals would eat those and then get sick and die. The northern quoll is now endangered, and those cane toads have been continuing to spread across their population, putting them more and more at risk. By studying the genomes of South American marsupials, they were able to identify one tweak that could be made to the genome of the northern quoll to increase its immunity to this toxin, because the South American marsupials evolved alongside the cane toad. They're more familiar with it. It's not a sudden new invader that they're not prepared for. And that's the thing here. This technology is not just about bringing back animals. They're about using ancient DNA to safeguard modern species, expand conservation genetics, and inspire bold new solutions for a planet that is in the middle of an extinction crisis. And that's why I'm so excited to be partnering with the Colossal Foundation. I mentioned I'm an 8th grade science teacher. Part of the goal with these videos is to create lessons that go along with them that you can use in your classroom. So if you are a teacher, great. If you're not and you know a teacher, let them know these videos exist. In the description, you can find links to a viewing guide so students can fill it out while they watch. There's also an activity where they research a modern endangered animal, and then you can take that further and have them discuss it in groups and try to decide how you would prioritize those animals. There's only a certain amount of funds. Where should the funds be going?